All right, take us.
Alright, so this is for the Unbroken movie review. So, the first thing I want to talk about is foreshadowing. Something that I noticed was how every single time in the movie, the main protagonist, Louis, he always had to persevere through everything, whether it was the bird in the beginning um, punching him in the face, or whether it was him having him run a race against one of the other guards. He always had to persevere through the bad times. And something that also got to me as far as the movie was towards the end when he had to hold the beam up. It kind of represented some sort of foreshadowing for me because of all the times that he had to persevere, and then you look at the look on the bird's face of frustration. I feel like those were kind of foreshadowing events to say that the bird was actually going to push him down so that he dropped that beam. And I personally thought that that was foreshadowing of his death because the movie was coming very close to its end. So I thought that that was foreshadowing to his death because the bird was gonna push him, he was gonna drop the beam, and then he was gonna have the guards shoot him. Um, and I thought all those events led up to it. It was foreshadowing because he had to persevere because of all the single times that the bird had pointed him out and the look of the frustration on his face. And so that's what I was thinking as far as foreshadowing. What do you guys think?
Well, as we know, it didn't actually happen though. He didn't actually kill him. So it kind of, even though it did lead us to believe that the bird maybe at the end would just shoot him, um, didn't happen.
So that's a weak sense of foreshadowing. Overall, I thought the movie was not the best, but I think that particularly led to us believing that that was going to happen. So I think it was more of a weak sense of foreshadowing, and if it wasn't meant to foreshadow, then the director probably just didn't do a good job of it.
all right. So like he stated, and that Louis always persevered throughout the movie, and we see this as like a thread. That at every stage of his life, from the beginning where he's with his brother on the track team, and he sucks at first. He perseveres and he becomes an Olympic athlete and one of the fastest men in the world. On the raft, he perseveres and survives. And that just continues throughout the movie, and then that helps carry the movie on. Additionally, cinematography, from the beginning and when he's in the United States and when he's at the Olympics, it's very bright. You can see all the colors, see everything. However, when he's in the camps, it becomes very dark. Always overcast. And we thought this, was just to, give you the sense of what he was going through and the overall mood of or morale of the Americans in these camps. Overall, I didn't really enjoy the movie. I thought it was pretty average. I gave it like a 5 out of 10. It was pretty much exactly what I expected. He ends up persevering. He gets saved. It didn't show a lot of it didn't show his life afterward, which I think was very important. This movie was made after a book, and his life afterward, he suffers from extreme post-traumatic stress disorder. He becomes very religious, and it's kind of his life. I don't know. That's almost more interesting to me than the actual story. But, go ahead.
We also thought about the archetype good versus evil, especially with Louis and versus the bird. That was kind of like the main conflict of the story, and Louis kind of represented and was symbolic of the will of the Americans in the camp. And I also kind of interpreted it as like arbitrary versus earned power or prestige. The bird kind of seemed like he was like jealous of Louis that he was in the Olympics and he was like a winner, pretty much at life. And now he's in this camp, and now the bird can take advantage of him. But all of the bird's power and prestige comes from the state, which is just pretty much handed to him. You know, he didn't earn it or anything like that. You know? And it just seemed like he was pretty much jealous. Like, oh, now I can, you know, break this guy, but you know he didn't break. But okay, it's okay. And then oppression. What do you want to say about oppression?
Oh, I just thought that kind of Louis versus the Bird just represented kind of like the whole will of the American men in the camps versus the Japanese, and like at the end when he's holding that beam, you know, if he would have dropped that beam, the will would have, you know, been crushed, the morale would have been crushed for these men to continue living, and that's kind of throughout the film. We see that he like tries to stand up for them when he takes all those punches in the face, and he says, you know, just keep hitting me. So I just thought it kind of represented the will of the men.
Yeah, and I thought the movie was, you know, it was pretty basic. I mean, it kept me interested, but there wasn't anything special about it. I thought the plot was pretty basic and the acting and everything. So that was my critique.
Yeah, nothing special for me. I would also rate it a 5 out of 10, just like Hayden. But that's it.
All right.